Hi, and welcome to our first screencast. We're going to talk a little bit about the internet browser right now. This browser is called Firefox. It's a popular open source browser. Yours might be different. Yours might be called Internet Explorer, which Microsoft developed, or Google's Chrome, or if you're on a Mac, maybe Safari. But they all have essentially the same features. We can start at the top of our screen here, and we see the name of the page that we're on, Lily. This is the Libraries Linking Idaho page, and it might be where you started your browsing session this morning if you're at an Idaho library. If we look down here, we can see the unique address of this page. So lily.org, lily.org, is the URL or the unique reference for this particular web page. If you type this into any internet browser, including on your phone or anywhere you might surf the internet, you'll bring this exact page up. You'll also notice at the top of your browser there's a back button to take you to the last page that you viewed. I was on Google a minute ago. And then I can go forward to the Lily page that I was on before. You'll also notice a star. Again, if your browser is different, you might have a different icon, but all browsers allow you to bookmark a page, which means to save it for later, so that you don't have to memorize lily.org. You can always come back to it through your bookmarks menu. We also have a reload or refresh icon, so that we can reload the page if maybe the information on it has changed or if it hasn't loaded properly. And then a convenient Google search bar. Now I can also go to google.com if I want to do a Google search, but most browsers have a search bar in them. Let's try a search. So I want to try to find the newspaper in Twin Falls, and I remember it's called something Times, so I'm going to just type in Times. I could do it here, or I could do it here. And you can see it's giving me some suggested searches. Google anticipates what we are going to be looking for based on where we're located and maybe our search history as well. But I'm going to ignore that for now because I want to just search for Times. So you can see it's not exactly the results we wanted. We're getting Time Magazine, the New York Times, the Times of London, and if we scroll down, we can see the Times of India even before we get to the Twin Falls newspaper. So let's try a more specific search. We have to narrow our search terms. So we know it's called the Times, we know it's in Twin Falls. So I will search, and I can either hit enter or I can click on this blue search button. And as you can see, it comes up. It's the first one. Twin Falls, Idaho news, sports, entertainment, jobs, classifieds, etc. MagicValley.com. Now, Google gives us some really great links here. We can go right into obituaries. This shows you what is the popular topic at the Times News these days. News, sports, weather. These links will go into their website. So I want to just click on the main link here because I want to show you guys the home page for the Times News in Twin Falls. This is the Times News website. They've chosen the URL magicvalley.com to display their newspaper's webpage. Almost all newspapers and media sites across the country have some type of webpage now. First thing you might notice here at the top is an advertisement. This one's for Subaru cars, and an ad from the newspaper itself, I believe. Then we have some little ads snuck in here for tires. Even this I would call an ad. Web search powered by Yahoo. That's telling us that Yahoo's cool. Edward Jones, Making Sense of Investing. These are all ads that are displayed on the newspaper's website. That's important for them. They need to make some money. It also can be irritating, but in this case, they've done a good job of putting the ads off to the side so that if we're looking for information, we can get our information. If we're looking for advertising, we know where to find that as well. The next thing we might notice are these headlines. Grazing Improvement Act gets mixed reaction. New York dairymen, many producers shut out of Chobani market. These are interesting articles on the day that I search the site. They'll change hourly, maybe even more frequently, as they publish more and more interesting articles. Most websites have some type of navigation system. So if we go up here, we can see the news section, and on their site, a list of topics pops down, and the latest headlines that we just saw, and other recent news. We can scroll over to sports and get high school, CSI, BSU, University of Idaho sports results. Opinion. It's important to distinguish between news on the one hand and opinion on the other. We'll talk about the difference later. Entertainment. So what's going on? What can we do in the Twin Falls area? Lifestyle. Tell me about some people. Tell me about the outdoors. And the obituaries, which we saw earlier on our Google search, a community calendar, way to subscribe, etc., etc. We may want to find out some more about this newspaper. We have here a brief masthead, timesnews.magicvalley.com, but it doesn't tell us much about where we are if we don't know. So often at the bottom of a page, if we scroll down past all the pictures and videos, we will see another menu down at the bottom that often has a way to contact the newspaper or an about section where we can learn about this website and this media property. And the Times News gives us a nice history of their paper, including Lee Enterprises completes its purchase of the Times News and then sells some of his other papers. But anyway, go back to their website, their homepage. And let's compare this site. One more thing. You can always click back on the home icon to get to the homepage, probably also on the Times News masthead here. And if you notice down the corner, it tells you that you're going back to the home page. Let's compare this with the Boise paper. I want to know, what is the newspaper in Boise called? I happen to know it's the Idaho Statesman, but I will look up newspaper in Boise on Google in my Google search bar. And the first one here is the idahostatesman.com news, sports, and weather for Boise, Idaho. Statesman uses similar type of advertising, although they don't have a banner on this particular ad. Banner would be an ad along the top. There is this called a pop-up ad that came up actually underneath my browser window, but I'm going to just close that. And you can see it looks a little different, but it also has a menu along the top with sub-menus. It has various headlines, what they believe are the top headlines. Some other top stories along the left here. And as you go down, you see the different sections of the newspaper. At the very bottom, you will also find information about the Statesman, contact information, and then again, if you want to go back to the home page, you click on the Idaho Statesman link here, or at the top, the home page, which we're already at. Now, it appears that everything on the internet is either free or paid by advertising, but that's not the only way that media companies make money. If we look at the McCall newspaper, mccallstarnews.com, and as you can see, I've visited there before, and so my browser remembers that web address. You can get the headlines for the current issue, but when you click on them, it's going to ask you to subscribe. Now, a lot of newspapers are requiring people to pay subscriptions, as they used to do for paper. And if you live in McCall and you frequently read this paper, you may want to subscribe digitally. If not, you might be somewhat irritated that you can't read this article, but there are ways to maybe get a temporary subscription. The Twin Falls paper and also the New York Times use a content metering model where they track the number of visits and allow you several free reads per month or something, and then they ask you to subscribe after that. Now, click on the Try It tab and explore another news site for a few minutes. Try to identify the various sections, figure out how to contact the editors, and read about the history and coverage area of that site. Thanks, and we'll see you again in a few minutes.